Hey everybody, we are back for day two of this. Hopefully you're getting your time's worth. This is going to be another quick 20-minute tutorial, I promised. We're going to do a little 20-minute brain workout every day, and by the end your brain is going to be just amazingly in shape to make NES games. So we're opening up NES Maker, and we're going to load the project from yesterday, and you can see I've got one called Make NES Games Fast Project. I'm going to open that up. And if you're wondering where all your stuff went, it's here. It's just under the plus sign. There it is. So if we look at my overworld, that's what I made so far. If you need a refresher, I'm going to export and test by clicking this button or going to test, export, and test. Brings up this little DOS window here. It's going to say it was written, so there's no bugs here. It says game.nes was written. I'm going to hit any key to continue, and then bam, here's my game. And I did have him moving and stopping when he hits the walls. Not much of a game yet, though. We definitely want to move forward and make some cool things. We're going to try making some other types of tiles in here. So right away, I'm going to look at my types of tiles I have. I've got solid. And remember, I named it funny yesterday. I've also got a hurt, a warp, a checkpoint, and a prize. I'm not even going to worry about a checkpoint for this type of game. I guess I could, but for right now, what I really want to work on right now is a prize that I could collect and a hurt tile that could hurt me, because then at least I'll have a way to win and lose. It'll be very easy because I could just avoid the warp or the hurt tiles. But the idea is the same. I'm going to have something I collect, and I'm going to have something that hurts me. So I'm going to go to my pixel editor, and I'm going to open up my BCKCHR00. It's the first one. I'm going to turn back on my 16 grid. And remember, if I'm seeing red, green, blue, it means it's because I'm not in Enable Palette Translation mode. So if I click on Enable Palette Translation mode, I'll see it with those colors again. Awesome. And I could go through these different things. So I want my prize tile to really stand out. I'm going to go down and I'm going to pick this sub palette right here. It's all grays. And I want the ground to be the same color, which if you remember, my ground was this green color. So I'm going to actually put it in the same slot down here. So I've got the same color in the same slot. And then I'm going to use these other colors to make whatever it is I want to collect. So I'm going to make like a blue sort of diamondish thing, I guess. So I don't know if this is going to look that great, but I'll do something like this. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill a square with green, and then I'm going to use this stuff to make something cool looking. And I might even use black and then light blue and white. Let me see what I can make here. I'm not really good at making this, but I'm going to zoom in. I have zoom tools. If you ever notice that you zoom in and things get stretched out, they might end up looking like this. And if that ever happens, you've got this little tool here called Force Square Aspect Ratio. Sometimes you got to click it a couple of times to get it, but then it'll lock it in. And now I've got square ratio again. I'm going to make a diamond like this. And I can see I screwed up a pixel there, so let me just do this. Try that again. Using the line tool. There we go. And my diamond's not going to look all that good, but it'll get the idea across. So it kind of looks like a top or a dreidel or something. I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to use my light blue. Fill this in. There isn't a traditional bucket tool the way you would think about it in other tools in NES Maker right now. There is in the next version, so that's cool. That's a whole other conversation, so we won't even talk about that yet, but I'm going to make sort of, let's see, something like this. And then we've got something like this. So we got the light, sort of like the light prism that kind of comes through it, right? That's kind of what these look like, something like this. It's not beautiful. I'm not really good at drawing these sorts of things. I'm not an artist for sure. And you know, if I wanted a lighter color, but it's going to be good for now. So that's what I'm collecting, whatever the heck that is. Call it a dreidel, call it a spaceship, call it a whatever, but that's fine. And then what I need some spikes over here. I'm kind of running out of colors over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this same green to make my spikes, and I can make it fire. I can make it spikes, whatever. Spikes are pretty easy. So I'm just going to make these sort of black spikes. And what I want to do is I want to fill the entire sort of area. I want to make sure that, because remember, anywhere that you actually touch this tile, it's going to hurt you. It's not just like part of it. So I don't just want to make spikes down here. I want to fill up sort of the entire area here, like this, and I got spikes. Okay, I'm going to save that. Well, great. You know, maybe I could go in here and I could do this just to give it a little something. There. So I got spikes. I'm going to hit save. Go back to my overworld. And now I'm going to come in here. And if you notice they didn't show up right away, if I try to place this right now, it's going to place a black square. It didn't actually place a black square. What happened was that I didn't update the tile set before I started drawing. If I just go away and come back, take a look, I actually placed the right thing. There it is. So I'm going to place a couple of these around. Oops, come here. Place a couple of these around. Those are prize tiles. And then I'm going to place a couple of these around. And these are hurt tiles. Like that. Now what I can do is I can go into collision, change my collision type to prize, and use my 0 key to paint prizes. And then I can change it to hurt and use my 0 key to paint my hurt tiles. Now when I test my game, if I walk into a prize, I'm collecting it. If I walk into a hurt tile, it hurts me. Now, what you're going to notice in the maze game tutorial specifically is he just freezes. And I'm going to show you why and then explain it. I'm even going to show you a little bit of code to walk through why that's actually happening. So what we have to do is we have to look at the player's hurt script. And I'm going to have to trace this through a little bit because I can't quite remember in the maze module where it's doing this. I think it's doing it here in the handle player hurt script. I don't need you to look at this. Just watch my screen. But if I go to edit, it's coming up. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. My computer's just being a little bit slow. Here we go. So this is what's actually happening in the script. Oh my goodness, there's so much code here. What we really have to know is this right here. What's actually happening when the player runs into a tile, a hurt tile, is that it runs this script, which is also what's going to happen when he runs into a bad guy in a second. And it doesn't just reset the game. It doesn't just do it. It does this right here. It changes action step for the player 1 object to 7. Well, what does that mean? Okay, so let's take a look at what that means. What that means is my player has different actions. If I go into my game objects, my player, object details, and I look at the actions tab, it changes his action step to 7. The idea is I can make a hurt animation for my player, and then at the end of the animation, I can reset the level. I can restart the screen right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my pixel editor. I'm going to open my game object tiles where I had this funny looking guy. Now see, this has got stretched out like that. Don't worry. All I got to do is hit this a couple times. If you notice, it just doesn't want to cooperate with you, which happens sometimes. Depends on your ratio. So the aspect ratio of your screen. I'm just going to open it again. Let's see if I can just get it to open again. And if it really just doesn't want to cooperate, what you can do is you can save, you can exit the game and come back, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to save, close out, come. All right, and we're back. So I just saved, loaded up the project again, and got right back to it. And if I remember, I did not use the background palettes for this stuff. I used the monster palettes, and again, I enabled palette translation right there. What I want to do is I want to make a hurt animation. So I want him to animate over a couple of frames in a way that's going to make him look hurt. And maybe what I'll do is, I could do this kind of easy. I'm going to make like a 4-frame animation, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this first frame, and I'm going to give him like an open mouth, like, oh no, I'm hurt. Can't use black. Oh no, I'm hurt. And then put X's in his eyes. But then what I'm also going to do, and again, these are just placeholder assets. Remember, we're just gray boxing. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to use the selection tool. Watch this trick. And I'm going to select this whole thing, and I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to move it down, and I'm going to hit Control V. Actually, you know what? I should show you what I did here. I'm sorry. I'm going so fast. I copied one of these. I hit Control C to copy it. You notice the selection went away. Now I'm going to move to a different frame, and I'm going to hit Control Shift V. And what that does is it pastes it in a way that locks it to the grid. And And I'm going to Control Shift V again over 4 frames. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it again. I'll use the whole, and I'm going to hit Control C. But instead of hitting Control Shift V, I'm just going to move down a couple pixels and hit Control V. Move down a couple more pixels, hit Control V. Move down a couple more pixels, hit Control V. And then I'm just going to use my rectangle and black to get rid of all this stuff. Get rid of this here. Oops. Get rid of this here. So it's going to look like I'm sort of sinking into the ground. And that'll give me an interesting sort of death animation. I could also make it look like I explode or something like that. So I'm going to hit save. Now I'm going to go back to my game object. What I've got to do is I've got to make a new animation. You can see I've got default animation. And there they are right there. At default animation, I need to go to manage animation, which is default. I'm going to write normal, rename it. Then I'm going to add a new one. And I'm going to call that death and rename it. And for my death animation, I'm going to give it, how many frames is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to give it 4 frames. And the first frame is going to look like this. And the second frame is going to look like this. I'll do it nice and slow for you guys so you guys can see it. Second frame is going to look like this one. I'm going to change it to frame 3. And it's going to look like this one. And then I'm going to change it to frame 4. And it's going to do this one. And what's going to happen is it's going to look like this. It's going to sort of fall. And what I'll have to do now is I'm going to go to Object Details. I have 2 animations, but I have 2 different animation types. So I'm going to rename this one to normal. And notice all directions that he's moving, he's going to use the normal animation. I'm going to add one called die. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on die. I'm going to make sure that if he's using the die animation, why this is so. Okay. If I had a standing and a walking animation for an adventure game, which we're eventually going to do, I would have 8 different animations. I'd have 4 different directions for standing and 4 different directions from walking. I'd click on standing and I'd put for down, walk down, for right, walk right, for up, walk up, for left, walk left. And for die, I'd have die down, die right, die, etc. Right? Well, I only have 1 for each of these, but so I could say they're all going to be normal for normal and they're all going to be the death animation for die. Now, if I go over to actions, if I remember right, when I ran into that object, it made me go to action step 7. This is usually reserved for death in a lot of the default NESmaker scripts. What I'll do is I'll change its animation type to die. And I'll say when the die animation ends, I will restart the screen. And I could even set the action to stop if I want to. I don't think it's really going to matter because I think the script is already going to do that for you. But now I can make it restart the screen. It'll go when this animation is over, when the die animation is over. So I'm going to hit close. I don't have to save it. It's automatically saving it. But if you want to click that, it makes me feel good. Always makes me feel good to hit the save button. Now I'm going to run into that and we'll see what happens. Oh, it did work, but I forgot one very important thing. I'm going to go to Object Details, Actions, Action Step 7. Yes, I did say that at the end of this animation, it's going to restart the screen, and I set it to the die animation, but I never gave it an animation speed. So it's never going to actually start syncing. It's just going to stay on that forever. It's going to stay at 0. So now I'm going to set it to 3. I don't know. Now let's take a look. And there we go. If you want it to be faster than that, you can get in and you can get into the animation speed and make it faster. Okay, so now I've got a way to sort of win and a way to sort of lose. Like that. So what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to show you why it was randomly resetting a few of those times without going to the ground. That's the next thing we want to look at. It's because I've got 3 lives. And if I hit it for the 3rd time, it doesn't actually show the animation. It just resets. So that's what's happening is every 3rd time, I just saw that the game reset. So what I'm going to do is I need to pull in some graphics for my HUD. There's actually a HUD going on. If I click on HUD and boxes, this is the area that my HUD is, and I could make some changes, but right now we're just going to stick with this. If I go to HUD elements, I already have some HUD elements, but they're not being drawn yet. So I can't draw them yet because I don't have any HUD graphics. These are my tiles right now for the HUD. I don't have any graphics loaded for tiles. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to load some letters and numbers here. Go to my pixel editor, and I'm going to open. And this is what we're going to open. If you look at the top of your screen here, you can see where it says NESmaker 4.5.x. That's your root folder. I'm going to scroll down all the way to the bottom where it says Tutorial Assets. Double click on that. We've got some beta tutorial assets, graphics, tutorial graphics. And then you've got a whole bunch of graphics. We even have one called HUD graphics. I'm going to open that up. And now I just need to save this into my project. So I'm going to hit Save BMP File As. And I'm going to look for the file that says HUD and hit save. It's going to say it already exists. Do you want to replace it? You can say, yup. And it should be the same size, but now you know it says HUD BMP right here. And now, if I go back to my HUD and boxes and I go to my tiles, you can see I've got these tiles loaded there. Now I can go to my HUD elements. And I am using 4 HUD elements for this module. Element 0, I'm going to change it to text. This is going to allow me to write text, like the word lives, or maybe lives with a colon there. And then I can use these arrows to move it around. If I increase Y, it's going to move down. Decrease Y, it moves up. My element number 1, I'm not going to use text. I'm going to use a number. I could also use variable tiles. Right now I'm going to use a number. And it already loaded a variable called my lives into the elements variable. If I wanted to create my own variable here, there's a way to do that. And we're going to look at that in a later tutorial. Right now, then it's going to ask me the max value. This is not the actual max value of how many lives you have. This is the max amount of places that my lives is going to have. For right now, I'm just going to put 1. And there we go. The next element is text, and I'm going to call it gems. I'll call it gems. And I'll put that over, and I'll put it down. And now my element 3, I'm going to use my number, and notice it says my score, and I'm going to give it 7 place values, and then move it into place next to gems. All right. So I've got lives with 1 place value, gems with 7 place values. And where I'm getting these variables from is if I look at my gear icon and I look at my user variables, you can see I've got my lives. It's got initial value 3. I've got my score 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I should only have 6 places for this one. So if I wanted to change the starting value of my lives, I could just change the starting value to 5 and then have 5 lives at the beginning of the game. Right now I have 3. That's pretty normal. I do want to go back to my element number 3 and change this to only having 6 or 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of having 8 like that, we're going to have it only having basically 6 numbers there, 0 through 5. That's how many place values that we have variables for in this module. If I looked at this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's all we had. So right now, if I test my game now that I've got this HUD in, I can see I've got 3 lives and I've got gems. And right now when I collect gems, each gem is worth 100 points. And then if I hit one of these, I die. If I hit it again, I die. If I hit it a 3rd time, the game will restart. There we go. And then I can start over again. So that's a quick look at how to start working with adding some HUD graphics, a couple different types of tiles. We now have a way to sort of win or at least progress, do something positive, and lose, a way to die and lose our lives. We've added a HUD system. We talked a little bit about adding variables. We're going to get way deeper into this. I just want to get you guys a sandbox up and running. That's about 20 minutes. You guys did fantastic today. Definitely keep checking and keep cranking on your games. You guys are awesome.